Welcome back to TTB Math Podcast, where we answer everything that you want to ask. You might not know you want to ask it, but we'll ask it for you. First of all, cheers. That was good. This is Gabal Terabellum. Proud of my own stuff, what should I tell you? All right. You love the art of distilling. You love your whiskey. You want to recreate it with your name on it. So you went online, you Googled, it was difficult to start a distillery. Or is it the beer that's your passion? Not to mention a vineyard for your grapes. Each step of the way you feel like this is why people wait till they're 50 to the retirement age to start. An easier way into the market, and we're going to discuss the pros and the cons of this and where TTB Math can help you, is white labeling. White labeling or private labeling. White labeling means you're taking a generic spirit and putting your name on it. Private labeling means you are involved in the recipe creation. Very different. Is, as you might think, a shortcut to creating your product. The issue is with the shortcut, it might short circuit. You have less control. And things could go haywire. So let me walk you through the process of making your own spirit, where you can white label and where you can't. And then, of course, private label. Let's take apart private label. Okay, you have your dreams, you went to the liquor shop, you saw everything that's on the shelf, you know your spirit flavor profile. It's not good enough. You need to understand this is the most complex and laid back and intense industry at the same time. What do I mean? On one hand, the legal, the documentation, and the compliance distribution is exceedingly complex, aggressive, and regulated. On the other hand, the artists, they don't know what time is. So you can place an order and you will be lucky if it comes for next year's holiday season, and I'm not joking. Let's start with the compliance, okay? So you have a recipe. If you're going with a standard recipe, say a bourbon, well, you got 51% corn. It's in the USA. Nothing very difficult over here. You distill, you put into new, it must be by law, new bourbon barrels. Okay, you don't need a recipe approval. But you want to do something funky, a family tradition, something unique, throw in some Mandos, throw in some Coke. It's not going to go. You got to get a recipe approval. Year in the making. How about making a unique finish on the bourbon? You just love that Scotch finish in a rum from Barbados. You got to get a recipe approval on that. That's a whole nother step. Not to mention trying to get their Barbados barrel. Or you want to make some heritage spirit of distilled grapes from, where is it, France, your ancestors made. Guess what? You can't call it a cognac. That is very strictly enforced. You can't put it on the label, you can't do anything. It's actually illegal. Your label won't get approved. And if you somehow, I don't know, put it on the label, you'll be sued. So you can forget about that. And the importance of it being named a cognac can't be understated. That would be like its complete value. So give up on that. Unless you're working with a distillery in the cognac region of France. And this is for every single category. Every single category. You're going to learn or appellation, which is very common by wine. Or tequila, which must be in Mexico. Otherwise it's not tequila. It's very regulated and strictly enforced because it's money. The next step is, so you pick your spirits. You're working with a distillery. You don't have ownership, okay? Let's be very clear. You do not have ownership of the product. You are going to be what's called an agent to sell it. He has complete possession over it. This isn't how it works in most countries, no matter what they tell you. You are essentially just a brand name on it. You can make 16 shell companies that pass through entities with whatever you want, so they don't realize who the distiller is. But at the end of the day, you are most likely just some glorified sales rep. I don't want to break any bubbles, but this is reality. On top of that, there's no tricks. You can't even play any games with where you picked up the product from, the alcohol from, because guess what? You need to put the country state of origin on the back. So what exactly are you doing? This makes your sale that much more difficult. But let's say you got a spirit, you got great taste buds, you are blending. Now you gotta sell it. You can't even bring bottles to the store with you. You're not the owner of the product. Okay, you're coordinating. And you're following every single step of this way. You need to coordinate with the distillery that you're working with. Now, I'm not fire against it. Look, I do this at TTB Math all the time for private labels, and it works fantastic. I'm just putting a tremendous emphasis on how strong support and how, what's the word for it, and how knowledgeable and used to working the system your distillery, brewery, or winery of choice is. Otherwise, you will be stuck in a nightmare, because you want to go to a wine store. Well, it's still got to go, and listen closely to this, from the distillery to the distributor to the wine store. You can't bring it with you unless that state permits the company representative to come with bottles, and the store permits it. Otherwise, you got to take one from the shelf, pay for it. You get the gist of that. Not to mention, some states require you to register when you're doing a tasting in a store. But that doesn't make a difference if you own the bottle or not, the distillery or not. That's a general rule. Now, the glass shape, very important. Some glass is more expensive than other glass. Some are machine labeled, some are hand labeled. Obviously, hand labeled probably gonna be prettier and more expensive. So glass shape, label shape. Now, another important point you need to focus on, very importantly, label submitting it to the TTB and then the state, and then every state you go to. Yeah, and there's a fee, and there's a what's called price posting, the price of your bottle. All of this is on the back end. The distiller is not even sharing with you. You gotta make sure it happens, and then the liquor shops could take it. So it might be worthwhile working with a licensed distillery to learn the process, because this is very overwhelming. On the other hand, you're at his mercy. So if you have a smaller order or something, you might not get that much attention. It's always worthwhile, by the way, to offer to go help the team. You're an extra hand. Often they'll take it, unless, of course, the state requires that everyone that's in their facility be registered, which is very common in many states too. Now, your product's on the shelf. Make sure you are actively pushing the product. The stores want to see you do that. There's no question. You need to be real. I can't say that enough. If you're not legitimately promoting it, they're not going to do it for you. The distributor definitely won't. And yes, he's going to take 40% markup. You're going to have to give it out for different events. TTB Math software at least will get you to that point, because everything we just shared with you will be automated, including the price posting and all of that. That's why we always recommend you coming to TTB Math. But regardless, if you have a best friend in the industry, he can join as a distiller, but you need to know the pitfalls and what may come up along the journey. Every step from the alcohol content in the bottle must be tested with a special tool and put on the label, and it must be perfect, and you don't want the TTB catching you. They can even ask for a sample. Every bottle has to be registered. The tax has to be paid. You wouldn't believe it, it's called a sin tax. When you distill, it could be like $13.50 a gallon. You heard right. Then obviously there's a sales tax and all of that. I guess if you're still in on the game, give me a shout out. Take care and see you next week at TTB Math Podcast.